Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and give a tour of my full setup here. Gonna show you my rig, the wheel and rims I use, the pedals, everything else in between. I'll give you a quick little take on each thing and my feelings on it. And I'll get out of the way right now. As you could probably guess, based on my channel's new, I've got 3 subscribers at the time of this recording. That none of this is sponsored. Everything I show in this video I have purchased myself with my own money, the same way as any regular consumer would. So take that knowledge how you will, but these opinions are all my own with nothing else behind them. Beyond that, obviously I can't show you with the webcam I'm currently using, so I am going to have to break out the cell phone for this one. So I apologize now if the video or audio quality isn't great. I have yet to do a video with my cell phone, so we'll see how this goes, and I'm gonna get that out and we'll get moving. Alright, so I got my phone out now. I'm hoping the video and audio quality works out here. And please don't mind the clutter and the mess. This is in my basement. I've got my rig set up in a corner. I put up some curtains around the back of it so when I stream and stuff it doesn't look quite as ugly as just concrete and insulation, but otherwise it's a completely unfinished basement. But anyways, let's get started looking at the rig itself and get started with the base of the whole setup, which is the rig here. This is the Lab Gt1 Evo. I just recently upgraded to this about 3 months ago, and this thing is tremendous. It is just absolutely super sturdy. It's like a rock. Zero movements, zero wobbles. It's just great. Customize, like if you've read anything about 80/20 extrusion rigs, customization's great. Literally any of these pieces can be moved forward, backwards, up, down, wherever you need them to go. For instance, my handbrake over here, need somewhere to put it. I had this extra piece of extrusion there, just attach it there, good to go. This whole front section with the wheel and the monitor setup, if I wanted to move that further back, I could, no problem. You would just loosen a couple bolts in these attachments and just slide it where you want it. And it's great. One thing I did upgrade from the base model of the GT1 Evo is these feet. These are the basically upgraded feet from the P1X chassis they sell. And it may not look like a lot, those few inches, but I'll tell you, those few inches in terms of just a comfort level of getting in and out of it make a huge difference, at least to me. If I were to ever buy any more of these rigs, I've got zero issues with spending that extra money to get those feet. They've worked out great, and zero regrets on spending the extra money on those. Now, all that said, like I said, I just upgraded to this about 3 months ago, and as great as it is, previously I'd never used anything more than DIY wood-built wheel stand that I used for a long time when I had my PC hooked up to my living room TV, so I needed something that would fold up and move away. I later then built a DIY wood rig, full rig, and it was great too. And yeah, it wasn't quite as sturdy as this, but it was very sturdy. Like, if you really pushed on it, it would wobble, but nothing you ever notice in a race. Nothing I ever had problems with. And if you're out there just getting into the whole hobby, it's a way to save some money and still have a very solid, good rig and base to set all your stuff up on. But if you've got the money and you are looking for a top tier rig, this is it. I mean, I've never owned some of the other rigs out there that aren't like some of the full built rigs, like from things like GT Omega and whatnot. I've never had those, so I can't really compare them. But from what I've read, there's always people talking about issues with them wobbling and whatnot. I can tell you with these 8020s, they're not going to wobble on you. They're great. So moving on from that, we'll move on to the chair that's attached to it. This is NRG RSC-200. I will move this out of the way. So I got this one in particular because I do use my setup for more than just racing or flying. I do use it for other gaming. This is where I make my videos, I edit my videos, and I just do other non-gaming related tasks. So I did want a chair with the reclining functionality built in, just to be able to get a little more comfortable when I'm not wanting to be sitting straight up for gaming or whatever, or for racing, I should say. And it works great. This gave me everything I needed. It's comfortable, at least for me. So I will say I am 6 foot, 185 pounds, about a size 34, 35 waist. And I fit just fine. And if you were a little bit bigger, maybe your waist was 1 or 2 sizes bigger than me, you would probably be okay as well. But if you're much bigger than me, this seat might be a pretty snug fit. But they do have sizing charts on their website, NRG, so I would go check those out as well. But yeah, it is comfortable for me, but I could see it getting uncomfortable if I was much bigger. So keep that in mind if you're ever looking at these. Like I said, it is reclinable. That's what I want. So there is a little bit of wobble there, as you can see. That's to be expected in any reclining seat. Now, when it comes to actual racing, I never ever noticed that. But if your rig's totally set up for racing and that's it, and you want it as sturdy as you can be, you're probably better off just getting a full-on bucket. That will be your sturdiest way to go, stiffest way to go. But for my use case, the seat has worked out great. Moving on, the thing I moved out of the way there. This is my keyboard and mouse tray, which has come in handy, and I've seen people ask about these, and it took me a while to figure out a good one. So if you do use your rig for more than just sim racing, to me this is an absolute must-have. This could be used on any 8020 rig, could be used even on a wood rig if you've built your own. But this is the Abuto, however you say that company's name, their swiveling keyboard tray. And I got this, so I was looking around. SimLabs does make a keyboard tray, but really it's just a little one that comes off the upper post here. Kind of holds the keyboard off to the side. Workable for sim racing, it's there within your reach, and if you gotta use it for anything, like if you've got hotkeys set up or whatever else. But if you're playing other games, you're doing other work on your computer, like me, I wanted something to basically have the keyboard and mouse set up in a way as if I was sitting at a desk. And I came across this one, again, from Abuto, and it works great. Very sturdy stuff. You can see here, it just attaches the flat plate here, 2 bolts on either side. So again, works with any 8020 rig. And like I said, for that matter, if you have a DIY wood rig, you just have to drill the holes in. Or other rigs out there, if you're got the ability to drill holes where you need it or whatnot, you can make this work. It's totally swiveling. You can push it, right in over your lap. When I'm racing, I will typically have it kind of out like that, so it's within my left arm's reach if I've got any functions set up to the keyboard at all. And when I'm doing other games, editing videos or anything else, I'll have it there. I've got the mouse tray off the side of the rig, but then I'll just move the mouse up there. No problems. I've got it set to a height. I mean, it's solid, but it does wiggle a bit. So I do have it set to a height where it's basically laying across my lap when I'm sitting in the chair, and it just keeps it good and steady. No issues. So, like I said, if you use your rig for anything outside of just straight sim racing, this is a must-have. I absolutely love this edition and couldn't recommend it anymore. So moving on from that, let's get to some of the hardware itself and start here with the pedals. So just quickly, because you probably can't buy these anywhere nowadays anyways, these are the Fanatec or Fanatec, however you say the name properly, Clubsport V2s, and they're great. I love them. Very sturdy, all metal. They've got the load cell brake. I did come from previously using the Thrustmaster T3 PAs, which were okay for what they are, but really, if you seriously get into sim racing, you do want to get the load cell brakes, whether they're these, the new Thrustmasters that are out, Huskin Fields and other stuff if you're looking for higher end stuff. But if you're going to take it seriously, load cell's the way to go. That's why I eventually upgraded to these. I've had these for a few years. Like I said, you can't get these now. The V3s have now been out for a few years, so there's not much to say about these really, because you would be getting the V3s nowadays anyways, which are just an upgraded set of these. They've been great for me so far. I have had to replace the load cell, which, as far as I can tell, pretty much any load cell brakes, eventually you're going to have to replace that. In these in particular, which I think is the same setup as the V3s, very simple to replace it. Just get a new one and pop it in, no problems. But I'll leave it at that, as again, other than the used market, you're probably not going to find these anyways. And we'll move on to the wheel itself. So you can see it's Thrustmaster. This is the T3, this is the TSPC wheel, which I love. I mean, up to this point, no issues with it. I've now had this wheel probably 2-ish years. Before that, for years, I used the Thrustmaster TX, which I'll say if you're watching this and you're just looking to get in to the hobby, the TX is a great starter wheel. This is the upgrade from that, but this is a great wheel as well. So I've never owned other wheels other than the two Thrustmasters, so I can't really compare it to anything. But from what I've read about the Logitechs and their gearing systems and stuff, I mean, the belt driven does seem better. Never used the Fanatec, so I'm not going to compare it at all to that. Obviously, direct drive is on a whole separate level. Another reason I chose these, originally the Thrustmaster TX, and then upgraded to the TSPC over the Logitechs, is the rim system. Well, it's not a straight quick release. It does at least give you the ability to change rims. As you can see, I've got on here the Formula open wheel rim, or whatever they call it. It's the one that came with the TSPC. And a lot of people didn't like it at first because the colors you see there and whatnot, but in terms of a rim and comfort and how it feels, I really like it. The really thick handles feel great when driving. And I just really like the rim. But back to the replaceability, again, compared to Logitech, which I'm pretty sure you can't change the rims, but these ones you can. Yeah, it's not a full quick release, but honestly takes probably under a minute to switch out the rims. So considering you're not often switching out rims, at least I'm not doing it. It's not like I do it all the time, so a minute's not that big of a deal. You can see along with that one, I've also got the Thrustmaster F1 rim along with the 599 Alcantara. So the F1 rim I primarily got because I got it on sale for like 50% off for one reason. The other, I was always kind of interested in it because I do drive primarily in VR. And this one, compared to the others, has a lot more usable buttons. So these dials in the middle with the colored circles around them, those are all fake. So don't think those are usable buttons. However, these dials up here are usable. It's got a lot more buttons. Got the 3 switches at the bottom along with 2 D-pads. So again, primarily driving in VR, I like to try to have more buttons on the rim rather than have to use the keyboard or set up a button box or anything, because obviously you can't see them in VR. However, I still probably use this rim the least. It's just not as comfortable as the others to use. And in the end, ultimately, the others still have enough buttons for the majority of driving, if not all the driving I typically do. If you're really into some of the hardcore, like F1 cars, not from the F1 games, but say like the mods in Assetto Corsa and whatnot, you could probably use more buttons. But for the typical GT3 and whatnot on iRacing or Assetto Corsa or ACC or whatnot, the other ones do fine. The 599 Alcantara, I will say, if you are to buy one rim and one rim only, that is the one to get. Because one, it's just a great rim. It was my only rim for a long time and was tremendous. And two, it's the circular type, so you can do any kind of racing really with it as compared to a formula style rim, which can do most. But really, if you think you're ever going to get into any sort of rally games, Rally X, drifting, anything like that, these formula style rims aren't going to cut it. You're going to want that circular rim. That's why I would say if you were to have one rim, get that, because it works great for any kind of racing or driving you do. But yeah, that's about it for the wheel itself. Moving on, just a couple other little things here. I've got the 8 shifter Thrustmaster again. This is the TH8A. Not much to say. It's a gated 8 shifter. It does come with another panel if you want to make it a sequential shift. I almost never use that. You can also switch it around and make it put it in an analog mode to make it workable as a handbrake, which works. It just doesn't feel tremendously great, but in a pinch it works if you don't have a dedicated handbrake. Otherwise, all you can say is it feels good. It seems super sturdy. I've now had this for years and it just keeps going. Zero issues. Now, I haven't modded mine at all, but there are plenty of mods out there for quick shifting mods and everything else. So you can look up that stuff. I've never done it. I've never felt the need. Feels great the way it is to me, so I've left it be. And I've never used the Fanatec shifter, but this one has been great for me. Never had any inkling of wanting to upgrade from that. So that's all I can really say about that. Is it's been tremendous. Next to that, you see my handbrake. I've recently done, well, fairly recently, done a video on that, and that's strictly a no-name cheapo handbrake off Amazon, USB, and I've got to say it still holds up great. Watch my review for further details, but holds up great. No issues so far, and works as it should. Being a no-name thing off of Amazon, wasn't so sure that's how it would go, but so far pleasantly happy with that purchase. Other than that, I've got the Oculus hanging off the side here. That's the Oculus CV1. That's primarily how I do most of my racing, is in VR. It's really tough trying to get back into doing it on the monitor once you're used to that depth that you get with VR. But I mean, not much. There's plenty of videos out there. There's plenty of... you can't even buy that nowadays. There's the Rift S, which is also going away soon. So that's one thing I may look to upgrade in the future, is the VR headset. The Quest 2 is coming out. I'm waiting on seeing if once the Oculus Link stuff comes out of beta, if that is truly good enough along with the Quest to work for sim racing. So we'll see. If it's not, they're getting rid of the Rift S, so I may look at some of the other options out there. But for the time being, the CV1 still does a great job. Yeah, it's lower fidelity, but I am used to that at this point. It's been years, so the screen door effect and all that doesn't bug me at all anymore. So that's pretty much it. That's my rig in a nutshell. So if you are interested in knowing more about any of these components at all, please leave your questions in the comments and I'll be sure to answer. If you would like to see a more in-depth video on our particular component here, let me know and I'll see what I can do. I don't know how you would make an entire video out of certain components here, but I'll see what I can do. So if you want to know more or want more in-depth coverage of anything you see here, please let me know. Other than that, I just ask everyone like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.